The Soul Reapers are the main faction in Bleach, and their main job is to purify corrupted spirits that feed on the souls of living and dead humans. These spirits are called hollows, and some of them possess unique supernatural powers. Sosuke Aizen wanted to break the boundaries between Soul Reapers and hollows, and his experiments led to the creation of the Vizards. There are only a handful of Vizards in existence, and they are all quite strong. The majority of the Vizards started off as lieutenant or captain-level Soul Reapers, and most of them had to fight their inner hollow in order to use their hollow masks properly. Some Vizards can only use Shikai, but many of them can also use Bankai, and they are all good fighters. Aizen considers the original Vizards to be failed test subjects, but he did manage to turn one of his subordinates into a perfected Vizard. So in today's video, we will talk about the 10 most powerful Vizards and rank them according to their power. So let's start. Number 10. Hiori. Before she became a Vizard, Hiori was the lieutenant of Squad 12, and she was the head researcher of the Shinigami Research and Development Institute. Hiori is known for being aggressive and short-tempered. Her Zanpakuto is called Kubikiri Orochi, and its Shikai takes the form of a large cleaver with a serrated saw-like blade, which implies that she is a melee fighter. Each Vizard had to defeat their inner hollow, and Hiori held the record for the longest fight. Hiori can overwhelm Ichigo's Shikai with her speed and strength, and she can produce a sweeping Sero from her mouth. She is also capable of firing 3 Kero at once. Number 9. Hachi. The Kido Corps is a separate military branch within the Soul Society, and each member excels in the art of Kido. Hachi was the lieutenant of the Kido Corps more than a century ago, which means that he is one of the strongest Kido users in Bleach. Hachi has a Zanpakuto, but he prefers to fight with Kido. He is a true Kido master who can cast high-level Bakudo spells without an incantation. Hachi continued to refine his Kido skills after being exiled from the Soul Society, and he even created his own Kido spells. For example, he created a barrier called Hachigyo Sogai, which cannot be dispelled by traditional Kido. As a Vizard, Hachi gained the ability to use time-space barriers, which he can also use for healing. Hachi's Kido mastery allowed him to defeat Baragan Luisenbairn, the former second Espada. Number 8. Mashiro. Mashiro is by far the most childish and immature Vizard, but she becomes more serious when she fights for real. Mashiro has a Zanpakuto, but she hardly uses it because she relies on her Hakuda skills. Hakuda is the hand-to-hand fighting style used by the Soul Reapers, and Mashiro is a Hakuda master. During the 1,000-year Blood War arc, she brought a lieutenant like Shuhei Hisagi down to one knee with a single punch. Mashiro can shatter the masks of multiple Gillians with a simple forward kick, and she was able to kill the massive Hulir Hollow with a single powerful upward kick. Number 7. Lisa. Lisa was the lieutenant of Squad 8 more than a century ago, and she is arguably the calmest and most sensible Vizard. Lisa was the first to fight Ichigo while he was dealing with his inner hollow, and she was able to hold her own against him. During the fake Karakura Town arc, she sliced through a Gillian like butter while her hollow mask was on. Tear Harabel was the third Espada, and while she was using her resurrection, Lisa fought her with her sealed Zanpakuto. When Lisa releases her Shikai, her Zanpakuto becomes a long pole arm with a monk spade at the end, and she can unleash multiple piercing attacks with it. Sometime after the 1,000-year Blood War, Lisa becomes the next captain of Squad 8, which proves that she possesses immense spiritual power. Number 6. Love. Love was the captain of Squad 7 years ago, and like his name suggests, he is an easygoing person who believes in peace and respect. That being said, Love is a fierce fighter, and he possesses an impressive amount of destructive power. During the fake Karakura Town arc, he used his hollow-fied strength to tear a Ghislaine apart with his bare hands. Love has never revealed his Bankai, but his Shikai causes his Zanpakuto to transform into a massive war club that can produce explosive flames and fireballs. He used this Shikai against Coyote Stark, the Primera Espada. Love was not able to defeat Stark, but he was able to fight on par with him for a short time, and he was able to survive an encounter with Gerard Valkyrie. who possesses godlike power. Number 5. Rojuro. Prior to becoming a Vizard, Rojuro was the captain of Squad 3. He lost his rank when he was exiled from the Soul Society, but he was reinstated some time after Aizen's defeat. His Zanpakuto is called Kinshara, and its Shikai takes the form of a golden whip. Rojuro can restrain an opponent with this whip, and by tapping it with his finger, he generates a powerful, explosive, sound-based shockwave. Rojuro revealed his Bankai during the 1,000-year Blood War, and it turns him into a deadly music conductor. The music that Rojuro produces creates illusions that are strong enough to cause real physical damage, but this ability only works if Rojuro's opponent actually hears the music. As a result, Rojuro can kill powerful opponents by drowning them in fake water or by burning them in fake fire. Number 4. Kensei. Kensei is known for being serious and temperamental, but he is actually a very caring person. He was the captain of Squad 9 years ago, and he was reinstated after Aizen was imprisoned. Kensei is a master hand-to-hand fighter, which is great since his Shikai is a large combat knife. That being said, his Shikai produces air blades that can cut enemies from a distance, and each of these blades can also explode. Kensei's Bankai harnesses his Shikai's destructive power into a pair of knuckle blades, but they can also take the form of brass knuckles or spiked gauntlets. All of Kensei's punches release immense explosive force on impact, which deals immense internal damage to his opponent. This Bankai would have easily killed a Sternritter like Masque de Masculine if the Quincy did not have a somewhat overpowered shrift. Number 3. Tosen. Tosen was the captain of Squad 9 when Bleach's story began, and he was arguably Aizen's most loyal subordinate. The original 8 Vizards are technically failed experiments that Aizen created, but Tosen is basically a perfected Vizared. Thanks to the Hogyoku, Aizen successfully turned Tosen into a being who possessed a Bankai and a resurrection. Tosen was blind, but he was still a deadly master swordsman, and his Shikai had the power to knock others out by overloading their hearing with high-pitched noise. His Bankai creates a dome that nullifies his enemy's sense of smell, sight, and hearing. While using his resurrection, Tosen becomes a multi-armed winged monster. While in this state, Tosen can preform sound-based attacks that can fatally injure Sajin Komamura's Bankai. Number 2. Shinji. Shinji was captain of Squad 5 110 years ago, and he was the de facto leader of the original 8 Vizards. He returned to Squad 5 after Aizen was defeated. Shinji was able to overwhelm an Espada like Grimmjow while using his hollow mask. Grimmjow was missing an arm at the time, but it was still an impressive feat. His Zanpakuto is called Sakanade, and it has some very troublesome abilities. Shinji's Shikai produces a special mist that inverts his target's sense of direction. As a result, Shinji's opponent views up as down and right as left. While this Shikai is active, it is incredibly hard to land a hit on Shinji. Sakanade's Bankai is technically useless in a one-on-one fight, but it has the power to destroy entire armies. This Bankai produces a mist that inverts the concept of friend and foe, which means that Shinji can force 1,000 enemies to kill each other instead of him. Number 1. Ichigo. Ichigo is the main protagonist of Bleach, and he is the only known person who possesses Soul Reaper, Quincy, and Hollow powers. He did not gain his Hollow powers in the same way, but the original Vizards consider him to be one of them nonetheless. His inner Hollow has appeared several times, and its full form was able to decimate Ulquiorra, who was using his Resurrection Segunda Etapa transformation at the time. Ichigo always had trouble harnessing his inner Hollow's power, but he was finally able to fully merge with his Hollow powers after regaining his Soul Reaper powers at the end of the Lost Substitute Shinigami arc. Thanks to his immense spiritual power and near-limitless potential, Ichigo has defeated some of the strongest villains in Bleach, including god-level threats like Aizen and Yawak.